So far in 2024, the Federal Reserve hasn't done anything but lead us on about cheaper interest rates in the future, but the data just hasn't really been there. However, where I live here on the Gulf Coast, I'm starting to see the economy slow down, which is one of the things the Federal Reserve wants to see before they start decreasing interest rates. So per a CNBC article that was released yesterday, the Federal Reserve's preferred measure of inflation came in just on target. So this measure is called the Consumption Expenditures Price Index, which is basically the cost of everyday goods minus the volatile food and energy sectors. So this measurement only increased 2.8% over the past 12 months, which is getting closer and closer to that 2% inflation target that Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve really wants to push for. But is this number going to be enough to push the Federal Reserve to decrease interest rates roughly 0.25% on their June 12th meeting? I think not. Sadly, Jerome Powell wants to see unemployment tick up before he starts to decrease the prime rate, and currently unemployment is sitting at around 3.9%. But the fact is, the United States economy is still growing, despite the fact that vehicle prices, especially new vehicle prices, have decreased over the past 12 months, and homes are sticking on the market a little bit longer before they actually sell. People are still trying to find ways to spend money. But one reason for this is the 4.2% increase in wages over the past 12 months, which ended in March of 2024. So people actually have money to spend somehow. So basically, if the Federal Reserve started cutting interest rates this quarter, I believe people would flock to go buy a new home, a new car, the things that they did not necessarily have done the past few years, because it would give such a positive outlook on the U.S. economy. So if this situation would actually happen, if everybody jumped on Zillow and picked out a new house and went down to the Ford dealership and got a new truck, the demand would end up driving up prices even higher, and now we're back to square one. We're back to 2021 inflation rates. But just like everyone else, I would love to see mortgage rates in the 2% range, just like in 2021. But personally, I believe we're years away from even being remotely close to that. So the Federal Reserve is known as inflation fighters. And inflation decreases purchasing power, obviously, of Americans. It erodes Americans' hard-earned money that they have saved and put back. And even if it's high enough, it completely destroys some industries. And that's why the Federal Reserve must play defense here when it comes to inflation. And sure, it's nice to earn 5% on my cash sitting in a little brokerage account, but it must be so hard on a first-time home buyer trying to buy a home at an 8% interest rate in these conditions. But my advice is don't count on being able to refinance that home or car in 2 years for a lower interest rate. It's probably not going to happen. But even if we don't see an interest rate cut this year in 2024, 2025 looks pretty promising. But again, I would not sign up for an 8% home loan if you have to refinance in the future to make ends meet. So if you don't know by now, interest rates pretty much run economies, especially the United States economy. And I believe the Fed chairman, which is currently Jerome Powell, has more power than the United States president. And I would highly suggest spend 5-10 minutes just Googling information on how interest rates affect the economies almost instantly. But in summary, after yesterday's pricing index numbers came in on target, but still a little bit high, I don't foresee an interest rate cut in 2024, maybe 2025. But the fact of the matter is the United States economy ran too hot for too long. We grew too much too fast over the past 3 or 4 years, and it's really coming back to bite us. So I think we need to be patient here, control inflation. Let's get this knocked out so we can look at some hefty interest rate cuts in the future.